Hit it.
Boom.
Yeah.
Here we are. Live and direct.
Oh, now I'm supposed to go?
Yeah, welcome to the Dylan Malitsky counseling session.
Welcome to the Matt O'Keefe, Chief Keefe show.
So tell us how you really feel.
Oh, man, no. Hey, guys, welcome to another edition of the Loud and Live Sports Podcast. We're joined by someone very, very, very special indeed.
100%.
Who do we have?
Yeah. Guido Trinidad, founder, creator of Wodapalooza, owner of Peak 360.
Former CrossFit Games athlete.
Masters and regular.
And now sporting.
Dad.
What else?
Oh, yeah.
Husband.
Dad, husband.
I like it.
Let's see. What else? Man, I feel like you got a lot. You wear a lot of hats.
That's good.
That's good
We
enough.
can stop
now.
there.
Summer. Okay. I'm sure more will come up along the ride. But been a little while since I've been on too. I know Matt took the podcast actually on the road. Did it in Europe. Had it in Europe for probably 3 episodes.
No, it's going to be like 5 or 6. I mean, Dylan and I do work together, I promise you, so we do get to catch up, but we haven't talked about it. But yeah, I think we did like 5 or 6. We did 3 at Sid. Anthony lost one. Real good job.
Nice.
But Tia.
Without Dylan?
No, I was out.
No, so we did a podcast with Tia. It was magical. And then Anthony fucked the whole thing up and it disappeared.
And you kept him? You didn't
go? He's right here.
Forgiveness.
One
strike, you're out. I thought that was a rule.
But yeah, we did.
These guys are getting soft, bro.
We did like 6 of them over there. They'll be rolling out. I think Shane's is dropping while we're here at Wodapalooza, but it was a blast. We were initially intent on doing it all here in Miami.
Okay.
And then we realized that it's hard. There's not a lot of people that live here that if we want the content, we got to kind of go to the people. So Dylan sent me on a road trip for 2 weeks to
go to the people. I like that. You're like a missionary.
Yeah.
But this is a special one because obviously we're here in the middle of the home of Wodapalooza for the last now going on 9 years in Bayfront Park in downtown Miami in the blistering sun as the build is ongoing here. It's Wednesday, so 1 day away from the official start of Wodapalooza. Thursday's day 1, 4-day weekend. And Guido, again, is the founder, and I've worked very closely with you for years, man, and just really happy to be on with you and get to chat about.
I feel like I want to hug you right now.
I want to kiss you.
Even though we already hugged this morning when we saw each other. But no, I'm really stoked to be here with you guys right now. And you too, Anthony, even though I see you more often.
He can get in.
Bring it in.
Yeah.
Oh, he's look at that. Camera time.
There he is. No, yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. I'm stoked.
Awesome.
No, we appreciate you being here. I think it's, I don't know. Let's talk about Wodapalooza to start a little bit. Like what's tell us how it started. I mean, I think a lot of people know the story. It's been out there, but like I want to hear it from your scope. Like how did
this all happen?
How born Wodapalooza?
Yeah, it was just that was like magic. We just opened up a bottle and exploded, and here we are.
Seems like that now. I mean,
right? So yeah, to make a long story short, I want to say what was it? It was like summer of 2011. Was approached with an opportunity to come and basically run some CrossFit classes here, and came out here and observed, the situation, and all I was hearing was, no, you can't put a rig up, no, you can't leave a container here, no. So it was like, well, okay, we can't really do what you brought us here to do, otherwise it'd just kind of be a boot camp, and that's not what we really wanted to do. So then we started to look at, okay, well, what other options are there to do here? And they mentioned, well, we run a lot of events, we run Ultra, we have Ironman, things of that nature. So, the seed was planted right there in that moment, and we said, all right, let's try this. And, obviously the vision at the moment, I would be lying if I said it was this, but it was definitely, let's do something really cool where we can leverage Miami as a city, being outdoors, and all the relationships that we have and whatnot. So yeah, it was born. It was actually at the top of the hill. I'll never forget, like having the discussion and looking down and being like, oh, we can run an event here. This would be magical. Mm-hmm. So fast forward, struggled to find a date. The original date was supposed to be on Independence Day. Thank God, right?
Oh, it's hot today. Imagine.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm
Imagine
sweating now. This is February.
And yeah, so the timing was something that probably wasn't well thought out in the beginning, and we just kept pushing it out and pushing it along, and eventually we landed on January. And when we picked that, we were like, oh, there's actually a pretty good decision. The weather seems to be more pleasant this time of year.
Yeah.
So that worked out, and then the whole name thing was, I'm always big, pretty intentional about names and really wanting to put some meaning and thought behind it. So that was something that we struggled with for a while. And I remember my wife and I driving down from an event in South Carolina, a CrossFit event, and we're like, we're not going back home until we have a name. So came up with Wodapalooza, and yeah, man, just kind of started very grassroots. To be quite honest, not knowing what the heck we were doing, and every year just failing a lot and having a lot of fun doing it and learning from our mistakes and just doing it, with a lot of passion, always wanting to get better, not necessarily with the intention of getting bigger. I'll share just a quick story and then turn it over to you guys. But the bigger portion was something that was almost by default, right? Like we had, I think the first year we actually promoted it through Facebook, when Facebook was kind of just starting to become a thing in 2011, and reached out to some friends and local box owners and whatnot. And the following year, we didn't have this whole registration thing dialed in. So I think we put a limit. But I don't even think that we thought we needed to put a limit. In our heads, we're like, oh, we're going to limit it to 300. We did 150 this year. We'll double. We'll go to 300. And all of a sudden, we had like 550 people register.
No way.
And we were like, dude, what are we doing? And like, are you sure? Is this number right? And, we had to think about, do we give the money back? Because when they registered, like, the money's transferred. We said, I don't think so. I think we can figure it out. So we figured it out on the fly. But yeah, every year just grew, almost 100%, if not more, until we realized, okay, well, we need to cap it at some point. Yeah. So yeah, that's a short, I guess you could say, chapter 1, 2, and 3 out of probably a 10-page chapter, a 10-page book so far.
Dylan has obviously, I've tried to really learn the history. History is really important to me and to us. And it's fun. It's been fun to hear the stories about milestones. Like he talked about like the first brand. You guys got like a sponsorship, and he was like, you guys were like, we made it. It was Innovate?
No, it wasn't Innovate. It was the
Footworks.
The local Footworks that sold Innovates at the time.
Yeah, they were like brand. Right there in the middle. They paid, I think, $1,000. I remember when I got the check, I was like, we made it. Because all the other, I think there were like 3 other sponsors, and they were free. They were not free, but barter.
Yeah.
Like, all right, you'll do our T-shirts, and we'll let you have a booth. And yeah, that was our big break right there.
I think that's important for people to hear about this, because there's a lot. I mean, this thing's a freight train out of all of our control in a really good way, right? And I think it's important for people to hear that this was 150 people in a park, just having fun. And it was really about what you set this up as, the pillars of this event, and fitness, community, and life, right? So I always love to go back to that, and we talk about it a lot internally, because I think it's like, we get caught up in there's 2,700 athletes, there's 1,000 volunteers, there'll probably be 45,000 people running through this property this weekend.
Yeah.
But that stuff is when it was probably like the coolest. Right? You guys didn't do it because of this, and when this thing was like started to roll like a massive snowball down Tina Hills, right? What were you thinking as it was like, I've been coming here in many different capacities. I think this is probably my 5th or 6th year. I'll have to look at I think it's the 6th, but what were you thinking? Like all of a sudden thousands of people were ascending here from 50 countries. Like what, like,
yeah, no, that was super flattering. The weekend of, you're not really thinking a whole lot. You try to be as present as possible, but you're really just like in operation mode and just like putting out fires and directing traffic, so to speak, and trying to organize the chaos essentially, and make everyone happy and have everyone have the most amazing experience of their life. That's the goal that weekend. But leading up, you dream big, man, and sometimes I'm pretty ambitious, so sometimes the dream was a little bigger than what we could handle, and in terms of just infrastructure from personnel wise, and just you learn a lot on the fly. We were forced to, but yeah, I mean when we started looking at where people were coming from, and it like we almost didn't realize that we had that much of an influence outside of just Miami. When I think when we launched the online qualifier and people wanted to start coming from outside of the States, that was like, oh, we're an international brand. Like, people know about us and care about us more than just here in Florida and in the Southeast and in the U.S. I think it was little by little, So yeah, it's super. One of the things that I personally loved the most, like, throughout the event was, like, meeting all these people. It's like, who are you people that are coming from so far away to come and do a CrossFit? Don't you have one in your city or in your country? But, and then I had to ask myself, like, what are we doing that's so special, and how do we, like, now become more intentional about that, right? Because sometimes you're just, if you're a good friend, well, you're a good friend because that's just who you are. But now you want to be a better friend, and you start thinking about, well, what are the things that I bring to the table as a friend, and why do people like me as a friend, and how can I level that up? And that's basically what we did. It was like, oh, we're a fun brand. That's what people were coming here for. Like, they wanted to have fun. Okay, how do we make it more fun? How do we make this about fun? A lot of the games athletes that were coming were saying, man, I actually enjoy competing here more in the game sometimes because it's less stressful, but we still get, tested well, and it's more of a laid-back environment. So, okay, how do we capitalize on that and make that part of our core values and our brand? So,
certainly has exuded that for sure. I think that we still have the big names, as you mentioned, 2,700 athletes competing, and we've continued to grow. But like you said, we've really reached a max capacity. So we're still seeking to do those exact things. It's just now a matter of, we're not trying to bring necessarily more people into the competition, but how do we continue to enhance that experience with really limited real estate? So it's become more of a puzzle. And so, like, this year, for example, what we're doing right now, this is only the start of a weekend full of we have a WZA Experience live stage. We'll be welcoming subject matter experts, not just subject matter experts, but folks that cover our sport, and give them the opportunity to podcast live, amplified sound out to the crowd. Think College Game Day. We're always trying to crack that puzzle, but you were always exceptionally good at that. That was sort of your expertise on the team. And it's
Thanks,
fun.
buddy.
It's fun having been part of it since year one as a judge, and seeing it grow to what it is now. And yeah, man, it's your brainchild and the mission that you set forth, and we're just trying to do it all justice.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't take all that credit. I mean, one person's brain is limited, right? But I think we had a great team, and you were an integral part of that, and you, I don't need to tell you, but his work ethic is unparalleled. There's not many people that I've met that have your work ethic, and then buy-in as well. So it's people sometimes are willing to work really hard, but they need to believe in what they're working for and towards, and you were all in. You still are. But looking back, even some of the discussions that we have, most recently, right, is we realize the power of just having a conversation like this, because you can get in your own head and you're just limited to that. But when you share it and then you bounce it back, and then what we create here as two people, as three, is even more significant and more powerful. And I think I look back at, I always relate, like, the year 3 for me was like we were teenagers, right? We were starting to, like, become like the cool kids and the cool event, and as teenagers, I remember personally at least looking at myself in the mirror quite a bit, and not to see what I look like, but more like, who are you? What are you about? What do you want to be about? And I think we reached that, like, identity crisis almost, and like, okay, like, what are we about? Because we're getting pulled in a lot of directions. Hey, you guys should do this and we should do that, and there's so many ideas, but you can only really do few, and if you want to do them well, and you don't want to be about everything. You want to be about a few things. And so it really forced us to kind of do what most companies do in the beginning when they first start, is like, all right, what are our core values? What's our mission? I think we did that in year 3. And then every year after that was just kind of building up, and everything that we wanted to do was like, all right, is it in line with this? Oh, well, we say we're Wodapalooza. What does that mean? We're a festival. Are we really? What do festivals do? They celebrate. What are we celebrating? How do we celebrate that? Okay, so we want to do, we want to create an experience. Personally, for me, like, as an athlete, right? So we want to look at all 4 parties: athlete, volunteer, sponsor, and spectator. And how do we make this an awesome experience for all 4 people? And you guys have done an amazing job in continuing to take that vision from where it was and evolve it and just continue to make it better and better. So that's why I'm excited to be here with you guys.
Yeah, it's and Dylan can attest to this. We talk so much internally that's why I'm really excited to spend more time with you and work closer with you moving forward. We talk a lot about how you thought when you built this, right? And like really feeling a high sense of responsibility of stewarding that, because it's not ours. I believe it's not anybody's at this point. It's the communities, you know? And so it's not about anybody, it's about those 4 pillars, right? And it's like, so we talk, and it's so good to hear that from you, because we talk about those 4 all the time. And, in that celebration, and so to you've inspired the hell out of me in my involvement in this, and you've been a big part of. You were last year. I think it's really interesting. I don't even know if Dylan knows this, but I stood on the deck and I was like, a little roughed up on exhaustion and chaos and the emotion and personalities, and I called Guido, and I was, we were talking about something else, which was you addressing the crowd, and he like took it on a little fatherly role. I think he probably smelled it on the phone, and he was like, "You're gonna be okay, buddy. Lead and stay present." And it literally defined my weekend, and it's changed my experience with this whole show that I'm involved in now.
Yeah.
And then you set the tone last year for the two of us for sure, and I know everybody that was here. You gave a real, ballsy, start to the weekend speech, and kept the ball rolling for Wodapalooza, and and your piece of it too. It was emotional. It's really cool. I'm getting emotional.
Yeah.
No, but it was. It's I know I'm weaving all over, but it's you play, and your vision plays a big role in how we have done everything the last 2 years. With or without your day-to-day on it, right?
Yeah. No, man, I'm really honored, to be honest, to be in the position that I'm in right now, and support, right? I've been supporting kind of from a distance, and now we'll be, working a little bit more intentionally in a supporting role, and I'm excited about that. And, let's be honest, last year was for me, a little bit of an emotional and tough year, right? In not being as involved, and I just, there was a lot of emotion there. So coming to the event and being here was really the pinnacle, though, and I felt like it was the turning of a page in a new chapter. And I was asked often, even by you guys. You guys were extremely kind in just wanting to ensure that my emotions and that I was just in a good place, and you didn't push me to do that. You gave me an opportunity, and I had to ask myself. I was like, you said it best a couple of seconds ago here, is this is no one's event. Yes, on paper, right? Loud and Live Sports owns the event. Sure, I founded it, what have you, but this event was created for a reason and for a certain group of people, and that's being stewarded well. And so when I was asked to, hey, if you want to speak and address, I said, is the message that I have in my heart the same as it was in 2011? Does it still exist? Is it still there? And it's hell yeah, 100%. Then share it. So I was, I'm really honored to be able to share it. It still exists in my heart. I want to still continue to spread that love, that passion of unity, and give people perspective as to why this sport exists, and how to what's the best way to approach this sport. Because I've been fortunate to be competing for quite some time in this sport, and it's really served me well. But I could also see how it could hurt people, if they don't really kind of take care of this gift. And yeah, man, it's just bringing everyone together and having a memorable and fun weekend. So that was not, and I'll close with this, bittersweet at all. It was all sweet. There was nothing bitter. I had an intention, and it was to share my heart and share my passion and my vision, and really unify people and get people just to be mentally and spiritually, emotionally in the same place. And hey, we're gonna set this event to sail for the weekend, and let's all get on the same boat, and we're going in the same direction. So yeah, there was nothing bitter about that. It was all sweet, and I'm looking forward to doing it again and again and again and again. And
so
yeah, man, it's gonna be great.
That was it's fun. It's good to hear that. I don't think we've ever had a closing conversation on what how that was for you. I know we've talked about how great it was. I've celebrated it. But it's good to hear that how sweet that was for you, because it was so damn sweet for us. Like because of what you're saying, the message. Like we don't, like I can't deliver that message. We talk about this all the time. It's like, you're gonna talk, and I'm like, nah, Guido's gonna talk. But really, I mean, right?
No, but he, like I said, he embodies the message, and I don't think we've deviated from it, despite maybe not having him as involved in a granular level. But I think having him involved will keep us on that track and make sure that the boat continues in the right direction. But yeah, man, nobody speaks more eloquently than Guido does about what this event means to the community and what it was intended to represent. So
thank you, bro. I mean, we all have different gifts, right? So I'm just here to, really use mine and give back. You have yours, which are extremely special. You have yours as well. They're very special.
Not so special.
They're like special.
Special. Pat me on the head. We were joking about that recently.
Honestly, I love doing these now because I've learned enough to, like, I love to observe, like, and hear, people's stories. And, like, I'm looking at the two of you, and it's like, damn, you guys have done a lot together. Yeah. Because his emceeing career started here because you guys forced him to do it. You coaching.
Let's talk about that, can we please?
Yeah,
take the spotlight off of me and talk about we. This guy's the man. We all know it. Got a great voice, work ethic, heart of gold. But Dylan came in with a shirt and shorts that were way too big for him, and these sliders, before sliders were cool, weighing about $140. You're like, hey, my buddy Noah signed up. I want in. Came in, I was like, damn, this kid's got an engine. He's got pretty bad mobility, but he's got an engine. And he stuck around. He's like, I can't really pay for a membership. I was like, grab that broom and that's sweet, man. And
taking the trash out.
Yeah, take the trash out. He did, always was willing to go above and beyond. Same, it doesn't matter if it's peak, if it's Wodapalooza, whatever it is, the gifts that he has were expressed everywhere he goes. So when he came into peak, that was the deal. He wanted to coach. He paid his dues. I believe he could still walk into the building and coach his butt off.
And I want to, by the way, put it on record. I want to.
So yeah, he embodied all the core values, like immediately bought in. And then, as I think it was year 2, I was an MC, and year 1, not knowing what the heck I'm doing, screaming for volunteers in the crowd. So year 2, we're like, all right, like we kind of got to run this event, and we can't be announcing everything. So who can we bring on board? And I believe it was my wife. At least she wants to take the credit for it, which we'll give it to her. She came up and said, hey, what if Dylan would do it? She must have seen something in you. I don't think you had an MC background before then. But we called you up right in that moment.
I was coaching a class, I think, or I just got done a class, and I remember being in the gym, receiving the call, and I was like going over the warm-up, and I saw the call. I remember receiving it. I remember exactly where I was standing.
Yeah. And you said no at first?
No. I think I said it was so far out from the event. You guys were in pre-planning mode like 3 months before, and at the time, the year before, I had judged. And I'm, do you want to MC? And I just got into the groove of coaching. I was building my confidence. Yeah. I was a very nervous public speaker before you gave me the opportunity to coach. But you actually didn't push me. You just said, hey, do you want to get your L1 and kind of develop from there? But yeah, that call in that moment, I was in the middle of a class, and it was 3 months before you guys were all on the phone together on speaker. Like, you want to MC? So I was kind of on the spot. But at the time, I'm like, yeah, sure, not really knowing what I was saying yes to.
So yeah, then fast forward, however many months later, we're at the event, and he was at Bayside. I'll never forget, and I actually, still we're tag teaming a little bit. So I was like, all right, here, your turn, you go play. And as I walk away, I just hear this guy's voice. I'm like, hold on, who is that? And you just like morphed into a different person. You like became the superstar MC.
My alter ego.
It's like it's his alter ego. It's like, what the heck? Who is this guy? So I was like, this guy's good. I started calling people. I was like, yo, come check out Dylan. Forget the athletes. This guy's the real deal. And then that just took off. He went to regionals and games that same year. You were like rookie of the year, bro.
Southeast Regionals 2013. That was the year you went to the
No, I missed
2012. You went 2012. 2013. Yeah, 2012, me and Noah met you at the games. I want to talk more about your athletic background, too. But, 2013 was the first year, and I had volunteered at Southeast Regionals, and I forewent my spot on the peak team.
Wow.
And I remember doing it, and then I'm going to be getting an email from somebody from HQ, and they're like, yeah, so you're going to be the MC assistant. You're going to be providing with the heat sheets and the coffee. And I called Lou at the time, who kind of hooked up the deal, and he's like, I don't know, man. I guess you're SOL. I show up there, and I did get a chance out on the floor, and I remember as I was leaving, Johnny Mack pulled me over and was like, "Hey man, I just want to let you know Justin Berg asked for your phone number. He may be calling you." And I'm like, "I'm not gonna get my hopes up. But thank you." Driving home and a weird number calls and he's like, "Hey, do you want to go on the road to regionals South Central next weekend?"
Nice.
From there, the next weekend Mid Atlantic. It was like 3 days before regionals each week that I would be asked to go to another one, and then I MC the games. And
This guy got called off the bench, throws touchdown passes.
that was 13. 2012 Guido competed. 2013 was the year that I emceed.
Yeah.
2014 was when me, you, and Noah all competed at regionals and Southeast.
This isn't I'm not puffing your tires here, but like there is nobody better. There's no better voice, and there's nobody better like calling the action.
Sorry,
on the
Larry.
floor.
Sorry, guys.
I love all those
you guys.
They're all personal friends. They're all going to
they're
be
all
here.
really good.
Yeah.
But somebody has to be the best.
They'd probably agree if they had like a
100%.
vote amongst themselves.
I don't know. I have my personal favorites of that crew that, there's some really, really talented guys and girls, and I love doing it, but I do think some of them, I think it's also you guys have an affinity towards me. I feel like you guys are both my big brothers,
But that, and I also see it from the athlete's perspective. For a long time, that was my games experience. I've never competed. I've never spectated it. I've always been on Matt's coaching band. So that's the only way I've ever done the CrossFit Games. And I know from his perspective and others, like when Dylan says, and I always joke with him because I'll do it in the office and I'll say, "And here we go." But that's how he'll start workouts. Like that charges those guys up.
Yeah.
Like, you have a piece in their hearts.
And their experience.
And their
For sure.
Exactly. I'm trying, by the way, we're going to say this now. So now this will be like, people will see this after, so you're going to have to fulfill. Dylan is calling a workout this weekend.
Yeah. All right.
Maybe somewhere else. As long as I can call other events throughout the year. I need you to commit to that.
Man.
No, I did. I'm going to be emceeing the MAC and a few others, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Full-time official, loud and live MC.
We retired Dylan from the games this year because we had so much going on at the games. Fortunately and unfortunately, we broadcast in Spanish, and because you've worked with Dylan. Like, how could we do that without Dylan being, in charge and involved in that? And so, unfortunately, the sacrifice was that he had to sit in the box and watch. And you know Dylan. We know him probably equally as well.
I could
now.
do both.
I did. That's exactly what I said.
Do both.
I have the mic and Wyatt. All right, call. Change the camera, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome.
I know how there was like exactly.
That was the pushback.
And I was like, dude, we know how this is going to go. I'm not going to see you the whole weekend. He's like, nah, I promise. I know I can do this.
Dude, those were with the apple, and I say like he's my son, but the apple doesn't fall far from the tree because I'm like, we can do it all.
Yeah, come on.
Whoa, that's it? You're only going to MC and do hosting a show? Why can't you compete too?
Oh, my God.
Wonderful. Now I have two of you to deal with this.
Yeah, no, man.
So good. But wait, let me just bring it full circle and just recap on just the evolution of the relationship real quick. Is started being more than just an MC, working part-time, then eventually full-time. And I think we both not just helped grow this event and give to the community, but not only did we grow in our relationship as friends, but I think we also grew as humans, right?
100%.
And as people. And definitely, you said earlier, you guys are like my big brothers, and I definitely felt that. And even, if we're fully transparent, butted heads quite a bit, like we were brothers, and straight up, like, like I'm pissed, and, little arguments here and there. And, but we learned so much from each other. We respect each other so much
100%.
in terms of our work ethic and our own skill set. And I think trust was always there, even though, I learned for quite some time that like, oh, okay, I didn't realize I'm a micromanager. Okay, why am I like that? Right? And it wasn't lack of trust. It was just my own flaws and just wanting to control things and not let go. And
Dylan thinks that's a disease.
You can call no, you can call it flaws, but it's your attention to detail, and it's very hard to sometimes take what's in your head and impart it to somebody else. It's just, I'll be honest, I've inherited a lot of those similar characteristics probably because we worked so closely together, and I'm working through them as well, just as much as anybody. But it's because we have such a minute attention to perfection and wanting to be and want everything to be as great as possible, and not wanting to take the foot off the gas in any one area. So
your blessing can become your curse, right?
Yeah.
If you have this high level of excellence, and the details are really important, but that can also get carried away.
100%.
What I've learned is really developing other leaders, and trusting and letting them fail forward, letting them make the mistakes that they're going to make, and coming back and circling back. And
It's good. That's a really good thing to remember, especially every year you come back to this, and it's like, there's new faces, and there are other ways to do things sometimes. I have to remember that on a daily basis. We talk about it. It is interesting. We have the same relationship, by the way. Like
means I haven't changed. I haven't developed.
It's just that and I have to remind him sometimes that it's okay. Like if you're that close, I think it speaks to how strong our relationships are because we are able to be raw and get after it a little every once in a while and say, hey man, that shit doesn't work with me. And him the
both
same
ways.
with me,
Both ways.
It's like, I don't ever, early on, I think he was like, oh, God, and I'm like, dude, this is I'm fine. This is normal. We spend way too much time together, right? And you've done it. Even more, you were working out.
Coaching,
everything.
Training,
it was everything.
Yeah, it was
I mean, he
my
hangs
boyfriend
out.
for a little bit too.
Wow, dude, but seriously, your families are tight. You have dinner together. You hang out with the kids. You guys are.
Yeah, there was a lot. There was a lot there. What's important first of all, I wanted to say, I really also enjoy seeing your growth and development and not necessarily being, as closely tied in. I think it's also been beneficial for our friendship too, dude.
100%.
Very honest. But just seeing you become a leader of others as well. It's really a cool thing. And then you had always spoken highly of Matt to me. And never, I'd known him in passing. We'd share some conversations and things like that. But it's cool to see your guys' dynamic. And you had always, made the relation to hey, I have a similar relationship with you as I have with Matt. And so it's cool to see that now live in front and be part of it as well.
Thanks,
be like
man.
three brothers.
There we go, baby.
Speaking of that, and to bring that all full circle too with you, Guido, I can say for sure that, I always say that the sport of CrossFit is when the community of CrossFit is what kind of developed me into the man I am, as I'm sure you guys have stories as to really the sport and community has probably brought you guys to new levels. Our careers revolve around it. A lot of our personal relationships were born from the sport, but really Wodapalooza and Peak, if I really break it down and peel back some of the layers, are the reason why I feel like I am the man I am today, and I still have a long way to go, but I can certainly attribute much of it to the development that you invested in me over the last freaking now 9 years. 2011 is when I walked into Peak, which I'm really grateful, man.
Feelings are mutual, by the way.
Sorry, I didn't want to cut that off.
Come on, man.
We're gonna hug right now.
A question. So you still call yourself an athlete? So
yeah, that's where I wanted to go with.
Yeah,
we all are, bro. Forever athletes.
Question.
What do you mean, competitor or athlete? They're kind of two different things.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like that. that. I was saying that yesterday. I did a podcast 2 days ago. I was like, you run a competition or you run an event. We run an event, right? This is an event.
Yeah.
Or competition's what happens on the floor.
Competition's in the event.
Yeah, you got competitors and athletes. All right, I'll call myself an athlete. We're going to compete against each other this weekend.
So you're a competitor too, then.
Uh-oh.
You're just not a competitor in training.
By the way, let's talk. This is Wednesday. I'm guaranteeing one thing. That I will have rhabdo on Saturday.
No,
do you know have you heard the workouts already?
Yeah, I studied them. I already have my strategy.
So Guido is going to participate in the gauntlet, which something I'm super proud of with this whole thing. That not only that the gauntlet is taking on a life of its own, but that you're going to get on the floor. Is that going to be the first time you get on the floor at WZA? I know you've done a heat, right?
I snuck into a heat a while back. I think, yeah.
That was
I snuck into a heat
ago.
2 years ago. I said it was the first time I think ever that everything was running so smooth that I felt like I didn't have anything to do. I was like, "Are you serious?" And then, so the bag was shaped a little differently than we had anticipated, so it was making it a little bit more difficult to lift. So I was like, "This, people are struggling a little more than I anticipated, because it wasn't the same bag." So I was like, "All right, so everything's under control." This bag thing, people are kind of complaining about it. I'm going to go out there and see if I can hang in this workout. So yeah, it was an open lane and hopped in, and that was fun. I got no rep one time, and then I almost broke my foot the next time.
I was going to say, that wasn't that the next day you were on a cart?
I really wanted to have the experience for multiple reasons, and, one of them was for my family. The other was for the community. And then the other was personally just like swimming at night. Like every time we tested the workouts, I'm like scared out of my life.
Oh, you swam?
Weren't you there?
On the paddleboard.
This guy was on a paddleboard in the middle of the night, and I'm like, tell me there's no sharks. Tell me there's no sharks.
Everything's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be okay.
But I've always been a big believer that you got to drink your own Kool-Aid. You got to drink your own poison, right? Like if I'm gonna make people swim there in the middle of the night, like I got to be willing to do it myself. So that was one of them. And then, but it's obviously a little different when you have lights and people watching and lifeguards and whatnot. So I wanted that experience. I thought it was something that would be cool as long as I wasn't taking away from anyone else's experience. So yeah, but I swore I broke my foot. So basically I lifted up this, I don't know, what felt like an 800-pound bag that was shaped like a worm, and threw it over my shoulder, and my heel was still lifted off the ground, and it landed like right in the back of my heel, my shoe, and my ankle. I literally felt it pop. And I just kind of hung around there for like, I want to say like 10 seconds, and I was like, I broke my foot. There's no way that this is happening. And my daughter was right there, and she looked at me, she goes, "Let's go, Dad." She was like 4 at the time. I'm like, I gotta pick up this damn bag.
Yeah.
So I think just the adrenaline, I was able to pick up the bag, finish the rest of the whatever it was, shoulder over the bag over the shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peace.
That was fun.
Got the first experience.
So yeah, what were we talking about? Oh, so competitor. Talked about competitor.
Yeah.
Just going back, gauntlet this weekend. I believe we're all competitors. If you train CrossFit, we're competitors. Are we in training? Is our intention to beat other people, and are we training, like what's the purpose behind the competition? You know, I really believe that as CrossFitters we're all competing. I like to compete against myself, but doing it with other people pushes me a little bit more, sometimes a lot bit more.
It's more fun.
But yeah, I'm not a competitor in training anymore. That's for sure.
Tell us about that though. So I think when I first got to Peak, that was when you were in your prime from a competitor perspective and what you were training to compete in, which was the CrossFit Games. I know I want to even circle back prior to that. Could you tell us a little bit about your athletic background for those? I know it pretty well, but for those that don't know, sort of your background in sports, and then how you were introduced to CrossFit, and then what those several years after as you started to get into it a little bit more.
I was an underwater basket weaving All-American. As a freshman.
A new Olympic sport. A new Olympic sport.
I did it all, man. You know what's funny is I feel like I played every sport, but I never like really played every sport. Like growing up, we played everything in the neighborhood, but the only sport that I ever played like officially was football.
That's a dying art form now. I'll tell you that. I have kids that are in youth sports. That does not happen anymore. Well, even in the neighborhood, I used to do the same.
Yeah.
You created sport. How many sports did you invent when you were a kid?
Oh man, my favorite one was just the ball, just me and the ball against the wall. Gonna catch it. So yeah, no, I played football though since I was 9. Organized football. Only 3 concussions.
Really?
I think 3 or 4.
Okay.
So yeah, my wife likes to blame a lot of things on
Explains
that.
a lot, man.
At least the work. When a lot of the members asked like, why did you write that workout? And I was like, it was either my wife and I were in a fight, or it was all the concussions that I had. So, but yeah, I played football as a kid, and played linebacker and running back. But linebacker was really my main position. Undersized, which I actually felt like was an advantage. And yeah, so I played in Little League, played in high school, played in college, and then played a year professionally in Europe as well. So
in Spain,
2 years actually.
Did you win a national championship, or they just were in the national championship?
No, so in college we won some conference championships, one in particular, and then we were like top 4. Went to like what we call the Final Four. We were NAIA, and then yeah, in Spain we won a national championship. Yeah.
And then your university's team this past season.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they were runners up. They went to the national championship.
I know
game.
you went to the game, right?
Yeah, that was really fun to watch them. Basically, that was the best year that they've ever had.
Are you still connected to the team? Is the same coach there? Anyone?
Same coaches, man.
No.
When I was there, they were 25 years in.
Oh, wow.
So that's
Well, now they're like 50 years
like
in, right?
30
He's not
something. Yeah,
not
right?
quite that old.
It's crazy. The guy. His name is Will Cox, and then Gartenmeyer is the defensive coordinator. I think he was born in the school, and like he could never leave. He's never left.
He's got an anklet on.
It's something, man.
You hear a lot of that in sports. Like there's I mean, it's another thing that's dying, but like there's coaches that coached at universities for 50 years. You know,
Yep.
the guy at Grambling was there for what, 60 years? You know,
insane.
Yeah, you just know where people's values are. You know, I mean,
Loyalty.
that guy for sure could have been a D1 coach.
Robinson, I think is his name. Yeah, legend.
Oh, the guy at Grambling.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was great. I mean, I became the man that I am in large part because a lot of the coaches, but specifically there was a growth spurt there that I didn't experience anywhere else. They were all about developing character. You know, you show up, and what allured me there was definitely not the town, but was more so just, you know, the staff and the coaching staff and what they were about, and they were about winning. But what they don't tell you, you know, when they're recruiting you as a kid is that what they really want you to win at is life, and they were, you know, always working on developing our character. I remember, like, we were supposed to have defensive meetings, and I was like, you know, I was an X's and O's nerd. I really wanted to study the game, and it's kind of like a coach on the field. And we'd be in the room, and he's like, X's and O's. You guys, if you don't know this shit by now, you don't know it. We're going to talk about character. And just, like, for an hour just drilling us and doing, he was kind of like a Midwestern Tony Robbins, I feel, or just like, yeah, he always had some creative way of helping build camaraderie. And I believe in large part in any organization, in a business, football team, whatever, in a family, like the relationships that you have, you know, the chemistry that you have, if you consider yourselves like family, that you guys can, you know, that you can achieve levels of success that maybe not as skilled or talented players or teams can achieve, because you have that. And we had that. You know, we had that in college, and I've been fortunate to have that in a lot of the teams. And I try to bring that to any organization that I'm a part of.
Sports. It definitely transcends sports. It happened in this organization with Loud and Live, I'm sure, at the gym and your coaching staff. Yeah. I feel it for sure. I mean, speaking beyond now football, when did you get introduced? When did you call it quits on your playing days in football in Europe, and then find the sport of fitness? Was that kind of the next step for you?
Well, yeah, not intentionally. I think, you know, you call that a transition, right? Like, when did you hang up the cleats? And then almost like there was also a defining moment when I felt like I hung up like my competitor hat, so to speak, in CrossFit as well. So transitions I've always felt very comfortable with. And that was, I hung up the cleats, so to speak. My last game was a championship game in Barcelona, and I just knew it was time to move on. I've always just wanted to, you know, feel like we all have a purpose here, and I felt like my purpose was bigger than just playing football. That was an experience that I had to be able to just, you know, visit the world, make new friends, and things of that nature. So when I came back, you know, I always wanted to start my own business. I just wasn't sure exactly what, but I took on a job at sales, started doing some elevators, maintenance contracts. Not really much of a corporate guy, as I'm, you know, abiding by very specific rules is not something that was natural for me. So, you know, although I generated good revenue for the company, but there was a lot of tension there. So that engagement lasted about 18 months. And I started my personal training career, and just, you know, had a vision. I wanted to give back to athletes. I was 5'7", 180 pounds. So there wasn't there as a middle linebacker, there had to be something that I was doing that led me to be successful on the field. And I felt like a lot of it was training. So I said, man, maybe if I can train people to train the way I train, then I can help them be successful at their sport. So I went in to train other athletes. And I started to go down that path, and as I started to develop as a coach and as a trainer, I found CrossFit, and I found CrossFit through Mike Osuna at I Am CrossFit. We both went to the same high school. He's like 80 years older than me, and so
he looks it too.
He's in good shape.
Young, yeah.
But yeah, so he invited me out. I was actually running a boot camp, so he kind of wanted me to work for him, but then also wanted me to try out this whole CrossFit thing. So we engaged in a business relationship where I was running my boot camp classes, but then at the same time, I wanted to be there more because I was practicing CrossFit now, and I felt like I had only been like a year and a half or 2 years remote from competing in football, and I was like, oh, this is a thing, you know. And I remember him kind of like, back then, Instagram, I don't think was even a thing, so I didn't have a way of really following it, but he kept saying, like, hey, look up YouTube videos on this guy, Josh Everett. Like, you're going to beat him when you can beat him. Like, this is his time on this workout. And so he'd egg me on, and he'd push me a little bit. And So eventually I just, we separated our ways and I started my own thing, or just basically stopped focusing so much on athletes and realized like the boot camp that I had, people wanted to train really hard. Just as, I think, to be honest, I realized that the athletes that had like way more talent and gifts in their sport weren't really as devoted to their training. I thought that was really ironic. I was kind of like turned off by that. But yet the everyday athlete, the moms and dads and just guys that wanted to do boot camps were like willing to throw down and push really hard. So that became more motivating. I started to put a lot of my energy and focus into that. So my first regional was one that you just kind of showed up, and that was in 2009. And that was fun. And that was my first competition, and that was where I felt like, okay, I think I can be good at this. I DNF'd in 2 workouts.
You did?
But I was like, I think I could be good at this. Yeah, there was one workout that gave me hope. By the way, using straps, football players, if you're a football player for some reason you're watching this, don't use straps.
For pull-ups.
For anything.
Yeah.
You just don't work on your grip strength.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're an Olympic lifter and it's part of your deal, then I get it. But just it stunted my growth in CrossFit. It took me so long to develop. That was one of the things that took me the longest, was develop grip endurance. So I remember like I DNF'd a rope climb workout. I did horrible in like a pull-up workout because I just couldn't hold on. I had the fitness, but I didn't have the grip endurance. But anyways, I was doing so poorly. It was like 150 competitors, and I was like, God, I feel like 50th, and just have high standards for myself. And I was like, this is not where I thought I would be at the end of the weekend. But the last workout came out, and it was on a Sunday, and I was considering not even showing up. So they posted the workout that morning, and I looked at it, and it had overhead squats. And I always knew that I was a little better at overhead squats because I had good mobility, and it was a movement that I excelled in. So I was like, I'm showing up. So I showed up, and it was a chipper, and I finished, I think, like 3rd or 4th in the actual workout out of like 150. And that's what like drove me to like, all right, I'm going to train really hard next year. And every
This
year
was
just kept
regionals,
pushing.
right?
Yeah, regionals 2009.
Okay, so they didn't have sectionals.
Sectionals was 2000.
Sectionals was 2010, which lasted 1 year.
Yeah.
So I showed up to that and then qualified for regionals that year, which was Rich's first year.
He was down in the Southeast that year, yeah.
Yeah.
He was in the Southeast.
Yeah, at that time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then every year after that, until I qualified, was really just one workout that kept
You're always so
holding
close.
me back.
I remember that. Being a fan of the sport, I do remember watching that from afar. Yeah. It's cool.
2012.
It's been cool, man. It's been crazy to watch the evolution of the sport, and to be, if you think about it, right? Like we're still in the infancy stage, which is exciting. That's what excites me.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's I think people do need to always remember that. Like all the change that's going on, like change is necessary for growth, And you look at any sport historically, the NFL was the AFL, the NHL was something different, and tennis looked way different, golf didn't have a tour. Like it's why it's just like, it's so in the most immediate, it's so hard to see that, because it's like, oh wow, this looks so different. It's hard to understand that, but I have a lot of confidence that this is just very necessary for how this evolves.
Absolutely. Yeah, and then also like instead of sitting back and just being acted upon, is also take initiative and where the sport can go.
Yep.
Because it is still a baby, right? It's not like the NBA where like well established, or tennis or golf that's just been around, and even those sports are getting creative and thinking outside the box in terms of their structure. If you look at NASCAR, it wasn't too long ago where golf brought in the Ryder Cup,
FedEx Cup,
excuse me.
FedEx Cup, 100%. I use that analogy all the time because look, that is a multi-billion-dollar successful sport industry, and it changed. And it's like, look at soccer is probably the most relatable globally. Football, soccer. In Europe right now, they're talking about building a super league. Nothing is broken in Europe right now. Like, they're making billions of dollars, and they're going to make a super league where they're going to, instead of the Champions League, they're going to try to make a super league. They're
renewing
innovating.
themselves. They're always trying to, always staying ahead of the curve. But like even like the NBA All-Star game just happened. They changed the structure, the scoring structure. They're always tweaking
I watched
things.
that, by the way. That's the first. Like, I haven't watched it in years, and I just watched it because of obviously Kobe's death, and I wanted to sort of see what that looked like. And the game was awesome.
I think the NBA is one of the most forward-thinking leagues out there, and not so much in changing their game, but changing the way that they are developing and engaging with fans. Yeah. They're killing it, and if you look at a lot of these apps that are out there now, like Overtime and things like that, the way that they're engaging with the youth and getting the youth involved in the sport, and it's a global sport. I would say it's probably second to soccer.
Yeah,
you might be right about that. Yeah,
baseball's close.
Yeah, I mean China's crazy about basketball. Some of those. Yeah, I mean there's 1.5 billion people in China. A lot of people don't realize that's a big market.
It's a whole other. It's like another planet.
Miami have a basketball team?
Dude, they're doing pretty good, man. They're like 4th in the East.
Wait, oh, okay.
I'm a
Is LeBron still there?
I'm a Celtics
LeBron
fan.
and Dwayne are God. Who the Heat? Who? We should go
They
to the
are
game tonight.
doing really
well
tonight.
Tomorrow, Saturday night, they retired D-Wade's number.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
I always had a vision. Maybe I'm just throwing it out there.
Let's do it.
That because they're in season. This would be almost impossible. But imagine if we had like a slam dunk contest. That would be at Wodapalooza.
Sick. Trust me, I'm all about it.
Right? How
Dude,
cool would that
lower
be?
the rim a little so that it's practical.
But not with us. The guys that are 5'4".
No, but even the elite.
Yeah, with Elijah Muhammad, maybe.
Oh, he'd win.
No, I mean like the Heat guys.
Oh, you mean like bring the players
on
on?
event
Let's go
1 of
here. Come
Wodapalooza.
on. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Event number
exhibition.
1.
Make that happen, will you?
Why don't we do
man.
event 1 of Wodapalooza, slam dunk contest? Compare our athletes
But
to theirs.
they have to do like 80 deadlifts, 50 wall balls, and then run the ball.
Changes the game.
That would be really cool. Honestly, that'd be really cool.
It's in our backyard.
Spectator stuff. Yeah, I mean they're right there, right?
Yeah.
We can go to them if not.
We've talked about using American Airlines Arena in the past for an event, right? I mean, when we
Ray
were
Allen was
together.
sitting in the stands not
He
so
was?
long ago, a couple of years ago. Yeah.
Oh, we've had some celebrities come through too. Who do we have? We had Rick Ross come one year.
Yeah, I remember that year.
Rick Ross, I did not know Ray Allen came. That's interesting. Ray
We
Allen,
had some
Rick
NFL
Ross.
players come recently.
Anyone else notable? Oh, wait, we had Shark. One of the two guys from the Shark
That's
Tank.
right. The guy with the good hair.
Yeah, what is his name?
Mr.
Rob?
Mr.
No.
Wonderful.
Robert Urshevek.
Robert.
3. Who
That's
else?
it. He was with
Dan Marino
He had
last year?
invested
Dan
in
Marino.
that company.
Oh, the Grips.
Natural Grips.
Yeah, Natural
Went out
Grips.
of business. They
Did
closed.
they?
They closed
Oh,
their doors.
man.
Yeah,
Those are good people.
It's funny. I genuinely love the girl that owned Natural Grips, and I was trying to figure out where she was at. She works for Amazon now, I believe.
Okay.
But yeah, they must have closed down or whatever.
He just mentioned Fall Out Boy drummer.
Oh, he's good. He competed at the event.
Adam Hurley.
Hurley, there it is.
Dan
Hurley.
Dan Marino's coming back this year.
He is?
Is he really?
Yeah.
Another
He
appearance,
was here
man.
last year?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
On behalf of Clover, the presenting partner of WZA Strong.
Yeah.
Dope.
Yeah, he'll be over doing an appearance over there during the Strongman.
What else have we had? Any other big names?
Conor McGovern from the
Conor McGregor?
Conor McGovern from the Broncos has come. Apparently, there's some coming this year. Who knows? It's great. You know what? It's funny.
Should do like a celebrity workout.
We want to for the
Right?
gauntlet.
Like non-CrossFitters,
let them do the
workout.
gauntlet, man. Let them do like a beginner version of the gauntlet. An hour? Come on, put them to the
Insurance
test.
policy is good.
We-
something, a little sled put, I don't know, something.
We were talking somebody described this. We were in a meeting in LA like a month ago, and somebody described this as the NBA All-Star Weekend of fitness.
I like that.
So
All right.
Oh, cool. Because at least from a CrossFit perspective, like you look like if people don't compete, they come. Like Matt's hanging out, Katrin, Annie, like those guys are all coming to just chill. So it's I like that analogy though. Do you like that analogy?
I do. For sure.
Yeah, more laid back, right? Less pressure, although there's still plenty of a prize purse on the line.
It was definitely
The
never
who's
intended
who.
to be the Super Bowl, that's for sure. We leave that to the CrossFit
Yeah, I would
games.
agree.
Yep.
But we wanted it to be an experience for it to be really fun, highly competitive, and something that helps continue to professionalize the sport, which you guys, by the way, have done really well in stewarding that vision. And look, let's be honest, like, you guys don't have to up the prize purse.
True.
Like, right? There isn't anyone that's saying you have to do that.
No.
And I don't know. I'm not a competitor athlete, but I can't imagine that already being one of the leaders in the sport that's offering the most money to continue to raise the bar. And we always did that. When I was around, we were like, nope, we got to continue to push it. We got to be the leaders and demonstrate that that we want to grow this. And we want to truly provide professional opportunities. And it's really refreshing. To watch that continue to grow, because again, you guys don't have to.
We feel like we get to do that, right? Like
Yeah.
we talk about this. It's
an
like
opportunity.
we don't have to do anything we
Yeah.
do. Really, we get to do that, and That's super important to us. It's good to hear that from you. It's we're proud of that, man. Like,
hey, man, $5,000 year one.
It's
that was big. That was about all we had in the account.
There's still events today, even sanctioned, that give less than that.
It started off as a little bit of an arms race, right? Like we were trying. From what I recall, we were trying to distinguish ourselves from the other events. We wanted to emerge as the leaders in the space outside of the CrossFit Games, and then it came to a point where we were the leaders, and we continued to up it and continued to up it and continued to up it. Now we're doing it across all 5 events. Have significant prize purses for Loud.
You know what? I do remember clearly a time where it was, and I can say it because they're not around anymore. Good guys, OC Throwdown and us were like the ones who were offering the most money outside of the games, and it was like this, like
an arms race.
Who's got the bigger? Yeah, right. Like, oh, we're offering this much and we're offering that much, and then I said, hey, let's not play that. Let's not promote at all. Like we're going to state what we're offering, but we're not like promoting that we're proud of it or that it's the biggest or the best, or just like this is the number and that's it. And if it's a little less, if it's a little more, whatever, it is what it is. But like our value that we bring to the community is more than just the money that we're offering. And if that's like the only thing that we're hanging our hat on and like banging our chest and being prideful of, then it's not in line with our core values.
Right.
So that was a defining moment where like, what are we doing? We're entering in this like little banter competition that wasn't healthy. I felt
we felt it like after last year, certainly it was great year for attendance. We just feel a responsibility to that group. I mean, we're an athlete first business as an agency.
So while it stopped being an arms race, it was still all about continuing to provide professional opportunities, revenue generating opportunities for athletes, which will help feed the entire ecosystem: athletes, brands, fans of the sport. Continuing to feed that cycle.
It does. You guys are doing that well.
What's next? Like, are you excited about this weekend?
I'm day by day, bro.
I hear you.
No, what's next? I am very excited about this weekend. I've been really focused on peak and on just, running that better. I've always had my hand in a lot of things. There was a point in time where, I was pretty much operating 3 different businesses, Peak, Wodapalooza, and then Perfect Fuel meal delivery company. Trying to be the best husband I could, father, and competing. Like, what was I thinking? I wouldn't say that I was burnt out. I have a pretty high tolerance for stress and whatnot, but I felt like I wasn't really giving the attention to the things that mattered the most to me in my life: my faith, my marriage, my kids, and then everything is everything, right? Like, you get what you put in. And they like those things weren't optimized. Let's be honest. Like Wodapalooza probably reached some sort of plateau because, I wasn't 100% invested 100% of the time. Peak at the same time, family as well. So, it's really been a blessing to be able to just focus on one thing and now say like, okay, well, how can I take this endeavor, which was my first love in theory, right, from a professional standpoint, Peak, and set it up for success so that I can focus on other things. And that's really just developing in people. And I brought my brother on, and he's full-time, and we've leveled up things, internally as a staff, and then also as a facility, and then just thinking about the future. And then now it's like, okay, what else am I passionate about? And I'm really passionate about this sport and this community, and I think there's tons of opportunity to help grow and develop the sport. So there's ideas that I've had for quite some time that are brewing, and things are starting to take form. And then, as we all know here, and we can share that, we've entered into an engagement in which we're exploring some opportunities and how we can work together and continue to just, push the ball forward and make things better for this community from a sports standpoint. So I'm excited about that.
We're really proud of that. The trust and the ability for us to look at, forward and work hard together to make sure that we keep doing great things for not just this, but there's so much more. We have athletes and other events that, and we are excited to have you a part of all of it, really.
Man.
And I know I speak for all of us at Loud and Live when I say that.
Cool, thank you. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, right, like any endeavor is only going to be as successful as the people who are involved in it, right? You can have, great vision and a lot of ambition, but if you don't have the right people, and, I think that's what this is about, right? Like, we pressed the reset button last year, and now it's like, all right, let's see what's there. Let's start doing some things. So,
well, and you're gonna open again. This, people have already been opened, but we're gonna have them drop that workout.
Yeah, hasn't been discussed yet. Actually, by the time this gets published, it'll be public knowledge. So the pace race.
Oof.
Pace race
Sounds
12.
painful.
It's a really cool thing. We worked very closely with Concept 2 to develop a rowing program.
I think it's the worst workout in the history
I think it's
of
awesome.
the world.
It takes a 12-minute rowing workout.
No,
I mean,
gross,
it's going to be gross. No, but I
gross.
think it's so cool how you can take something that's monotonous, a single modality, just monostructural rowing for 12 minutes and make it fun.
Yeah.
And now you're racing against each other, but it's not just about you and the other people. It's you against the boat that's trying to chase you. And that'll come out, and Guido's going to detail it post his opening ceremony.
It's funny, as I've always asked myself and others this question is, like, in a workout or in a race, when running, do you do better when in the lead or coming from behind?
Yeah.
What about you? How do you do?
I do better. Well, we had a race recently in a workout. Remember Saturday on the bridge? Remember like a month ago? I think I do better when I'm behind because didn't I catch you on that?
When was it? What are you talking
Remember
about?
running up the ramp in the back, the Saturday WOD we ran on the bridge?
Oh, that was a sprint.
Oh, you mean a long race? Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean a longer race.
Yeah, sprints are different. I mean, you can consider that a race. You beat me. Okay, I came off faster. No,
you did.
I came off faster than you caught me.
But no, you're right.
Short little legs.
Honestly, coming from behind is for me, it's more comfortable than staying in the lead and feeling those footsteps behind you.
There's no bigger rubbernecker in the history of CrossFit than him.
Really?
This is
Fraser does it too,
no,
man.
Fraser, he's not.
Fraser does, dude.
He's worse than him.
Fraser's like the best at that.
Fraser's the biggest. I would say it every time I was on the mic.
He doesn't have like quarter collars.
I love working out with Dylan, and it's just his eyes looking over.
What about you though? Do you prefer to be chased or?
I played a lot of competitive golf, right? So I can relate even on that side. It's so much easier to put the ball in the hole when you're coming from behind than it is to be in front. And I've done both, and it's like in front is like your world is ending. Who's gonna eat me first?
Catch you?
It's like in run. You can relate. Like running is the best analogy because how much. From my perspective, like how much does it suck when you're out, like, and you just are pushing, and you don't know if you're getting pushed or if you're like, if they're dogging it.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going on behind you, like, and you're just suffering. And it's, by the way, it's also really good for, overall for adversity is like leading's hard.
Yeah.
Being on top, life on top is difficult, right?
Tell us.
No, I'm just saying from a purely, I would relate
There's
to
a little
running.
more pressure. I feel for sure. We all like to.
Running,
I think underdog. There's something to be said about that mentality and like coming from behind. And, you don't believe in me. I'm going to show you. Like, I live my whole life that way. I think this could be serendipitous. I've always liked coming from behind, and I'm speaking specifically in running. Just recently, doing running workouts at the gym, I've actually enjoyed more the gaming of being in the lead. So I figure out my pace, and if my pace is good enough to be in the lead, then I can feel when others are trying to come, and I almost bait them.
Come on.
And then right as they get like they're making that push to try to either tie or make the pass, I then take off. Yeah. And they're like, damn. They wasted all that energy to get to me and try to just maintain the pace that I have, and then I can go like boom. So it's a little bit of a mind game.
You should teach Sean Kelly that because he doesn't know anything about pacing.
Well, you first need to develop an engine.
Step one.
Sean's a meathead, savage, big old piece of sirloin. He's a strong cat.
We work out at the office at like 11 at night, and we'll put I'll always be. I'll get alpha on what we're doing because I don't want to lift weights. I just want to get on machines and sweat, and I'll be like, we're gonna do bike, burpees, rowing, running, like ski erg. And I'll just watch Sean hit the bike and like go out hard, and I'm like, I already won this workout, and it's 30 minutes long.
The bike is his jam. Don't mess with him anything under like 2 minutes.
That's true.
He'll kill that. But yeah, when it comes to single modality, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to watch. Just feeling like you're getting chased down by, some vehicle of transportation. We should almost play like a, I don't know, there needs to be like really good like theatrics with the music as somebody gets like caught from behind and like, got him.
Batman,
Battleship.
Fire,
Rambo.
Something.
Blow him
He's
up.
out. And like make them like fall off the rower or something. I don't know.
We're we couldn't be more excited that you're going to be around, and we'll do some more fun stuff this weekend. You're going to open, and we'll throw you on the broadcast.
Oh, he's doing a seminar. He's doing a little bit of
seminar.
I am.
Yeah, aren't you?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, yeah, you do. Get out of here.
Script.
Yeah,
cool.
No, but we're pumped, and we're grateful for you for what you've created, what we get to do, and for you being here and what's coming ahead.
We created it. I played a role, but thank you. Yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm excited for where we came from, where we are now, and what's to come. All great.
Let's do it. We're gonna
beautiful weather. Believe it's going to stay that way, and if it does rain, we know how to handle that, right?
We sure do. Contingency WZA ready to go. Let's go.
I will remember this podcast forever for a lot of reasons, and the sunburn will also be a part of it.
Yeah, we'll feel it all week at least.
No. Thanks for taking the time out. I really appreciate it.
Let's do it,
and
man.
I'm looking forward to what's ahead.
Started it.
A lot of celebrating.
Yes.
Yeah, he started it. Now he's got to stop it too. I don't know if that's a new tradition.
Yeah, no, this is too. Yeah.
What's the name of those little pylons you got?
The throwdowns.com
The throwdown.
precision timing button.
It's over. We finished it under the time cap. I
It's
hope.
a wrap.